The simplest thing is to distill them down to two key principles. The first of which rates the digestibility of the protein itself. And so, the fundamental truism, biology just, this is the way it evolved, is that animal source proteins are more digestible than plant source proteins, predominantly because plant source proteins are fibrous in nature. They have, dietary fiber. It's anti-nutritional, and so it tends to block digestive enzymes. It tends to inhibit absorption. The same, all the things that make dietary fiber good are, that's the reason why in terms of, trapping fat or preventing glucose spikes and that sort of thing are anti-nutritional for protein digestion. But that's, so we'll gloss over that for now. And then the second portion of the score comes down to the essential amino acid content of the protein itself. And so, that's just boil the protein up, hydrolyze it, measure the amino acids. And again, animal proteins tend to come out on top. Not always, but a number of them do. So, the difference between the two systems, so PDCAAS, or the protein digestibility corrected amino acid score, you understand why we say PDCAAS, or the digestible indispensable amino acid score, DIAS or DIAS, however you say it, are essentially very similar, with the small wrinkle that PDCAAS measures what we call fecal nitrogen digestion. So it measures the fecal content of amino acids. What was realized a while ago was that our gut microbiome and lots of other sort of metabolic processes are going on in our large colon, in our large intestine, in our colon, that are changing the nitrogenous contents of the foods that are going through there. So, it could be that our gut microbiome even contributes some essential amino acids, but it definitely metabolizes nitrogen. And so if you measure it as fecal content, you're not really getting the full picture, because we don't tend to absorb amino acids from our large intestine.
Sure.
So the DIAS score actually measures the content of amino acids as it comes out of your ileum, which is the first proximal portion of your intestine, as opposed to the last portion of your intestine. I know, people are probably like, wow, but let's just say is that the scores are out there, and I think it's important to remember who sets these values and where they come from. Mm-hmm. It is the United Nations University, the FAO, et cetera, the WHO, and they are interested in international level nutrition. And so It's not just, westernized sort of societal nutrition, where we've got pretty plentiful food supplies. People have means, and we can make choices, but you're getting it to food insecure regions and lots of other things. And the primary places where the scores are, I think, take on some importance are with kids, because of the stuff that you're feeding kids. And so infant formulas are very, very conscientious around getting good PDCAAS scores, good DIAS scores, and that sort of thing. Or people in food insecure regions who don't have access to, all of the types of foods that people in westernized societies would. So from that standpoint, you can categorize proteins with respect to their digestibility and their amino acid score. In general, animal proteins a little bit higher than plant proteins. So, what do you do? People says, if you're on plant proteins, you're getting inferior quality proteins. Well, the simple answer is you just have to eat a little bit more plant protein. Or you move to isolated sources of plant protein or animal protein where you've taken out the digestibility as an issue, because now you've isolated the protein, and now it's really just a comparison of amino acids. And the differences then become much smaller because digestibility is not an issue anymore. And you can just ingest a little bit more of one particular protein or another. And it's a little bit of a fight over scorched earth in the forums that I see it, where the fight, it really takes place, which is in young, healthy people who are physically active. You're actually very efficient at getting, the protein that you need digested and absorbed. And then the utility of it, because you're exercising, is actually even more efficient. So, these differences that everybody's squabbling about become really, they're in the margins. Like they're not that big of a deal. unless you are food insecure and relying on one or two foodstuffs for your subsistence on a regular basis, or you're a growing kid where maybe it's a bigger difference. But I think in westernized societies where you can make choices about the protein that you eat, it's less of an issue.